Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of Speak Your Mind with Larry Cox, our Monday campaign election edition. So, during this election season, we've got a lot of people running for office, a lot of people wanting to come on the show, share their platforms with you, let you know who they are. Today was the first day of early voting. I voted today. Let me show you my little sticker here. There we go. Voted today, did a little video. A lot of you watched it. So had a good time doing that. So tonight we have got a special guest tonight. We have Miss Melissa Mims running for Post 2 Commissioner, and we are going to bring her on at this time. Let her introduce herself and tell you a little bit about why she's running. Good evening, Melissa. How are you doing?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. How are you?
I am doing fantastic here in Rockdale County this fine evening. I've uh, actually doing what I do, working my job. Actually, went out and did a little interview with Channel 2 today about data centers, and then I came here to do an interview with you, Melissa. So you know how that goes.
Awesome. Well, thank
So
you for having me.
you're welcome. You're welcome. I enjoy having candidates on here so they can share who they are and what their vision is. So this is what we want you to do. We want you to introduce yourself and tell people why you decided to jump into this mayhem.
Thank you. So thank you all for joining in, and thank you for allowing us to utilize your platform for this civic engagement. But my name is Melissa Teamer Mims, and I am a 20-year resident of Rockdale County. I moved here in 2006 with my young children and my husband, and from that time, I met a young lady named Marquita Prince, and she tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, you seem like you have a great personality. Why don't you join the PTA?" And so from there, I was just heavily involved in the PTA within Rockdale County Schools. I served as the PTA president for Shoal Creek, CJ Hicks Elementary, Heritage High School, served on the PTA council, the district level. I've served on the SPLOS committee, which is the penny tax committee. I've been the class of 2022, the impactful class of Leadership Rockdale. And I've served on the regional leadership team because I believe that leadership requires collaboration. And so that's some of the things that I've done. I've been a public servant in Rockdale County. And so me running is just an extension of that public service.
Good. I like hearing that. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do real quick.
Okay.
So we're going to say hello to people.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask them to do something after I say hello.
Okay.
So we've got Mary Boysworth. Thanks for joining us tonight. Cheryl Moulton, thank you for joining us. Clayton Orwig, thank you for joining us. Joy Powers, thank you for joining us tonight, Joy. Tanya Mitchell-Cobb, thank you for joining us. We have Bethina Baker. I've seen that middle name. You might know that person. So Linda Jackson, Kareem Mightley, William Campbell, Melanie Guttrell, and Alicia Sanders. Thank you all for joining us tonight. That's everybody who's decided to say hello. I know other people are watching who've not said hello, but that's fine too. What I'd like you guys to do, and this helps your candidate because I've got a feeling a lot of you, this is your candidate. Share and like the show, okay? And what that does is it helps grow the audience, and not only that, it helps get those views afterwards. And last night's show, our candidate last night's 1.1 thousand views already. It's got 1,100 views from last night. So share and like this show tonight so you can get your candidates' views going in the same direction this week also. Let them get a couple thousand views and a lot of people in Rockdale County getting to know who they are and what they're all about. So I've done that. So now let's get back to you, Melissa, and let's talk about, and you started it off with a little bit. You talked about when you came here, right? But I want to go even further back than that, right? I want to go, where did Melissa Mims come from? Where did she get her early education and your foundation? Tell us about where you came from, Melissa.
So I am from the good life city of Albany, Georgia. born and raised. My sister's on this live tonight, so thank you for joining. Of course, all of my Albany family, they've been so supportive. I come from humble beginnings, a family with great foundational values. My parents on September 11th will be married for 62 or 63 years. It is eight of us. I have five sisters and two brothers. So I went to high school at Doherty Comprehensive High School, attended Savannah State University, and then I moved to Atlanta to get my master's degree.
So where did you go to school in Atlanta?
So that program, I didn't finish there, and I forgot what that name of that school was, but where I ended up finishing was online at the University of the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, I'm aware of that online. Yes, so that's a good school too. So you moved here, and then you talked about your kids getting them through the Rockdale County's public school system. Uh, and tell us a little bit what else because you talked about the SPLOS committee and all those things. Just tell us about your involvement in this community and what this community has ended up meaning to you. Because when people run for office, it's usually because the community ends up meaning something to them. So why don't you talk a little bit about that growth and that bond that you have developed over the last several years with this community?
So when I moved to Atlanta, I was in a small A. Albany is very small. So thinking about Rockdale County, to me, it felt like a place that was far enough from Atlanta. It wasn't overcrowded. It still felt like a version of home where I didn't feel like it was too busy. So I really enjoyed living in Rockdale County. It feels like a very comfortable, it just, it wasn't too big, but I could still enjoy the amenities of downtown if I wanted to do that. And so being here in Rockdale County, I just believe that anywhere you stay, you should be an active citizen to help make sure that it's growing and thriving. And so being in the school system, and I believe in the partnership of the school system because I believe that people should have partners and it takes a team to make things work. So being in the school system a little bit, what I saw was that, we needed more development for our youth. So my son was very young and playing football, and I saw a need to host a Little League football tournaments. So I was one of the first female football tournament directors because I wanted quality and safe programming for sports. And then after that, I said, let's try cheer as well because I was a former cheerleader. And so I believe that our students should have skills that they can use to try to gain scholarships and so forth. And so in 2000, I think maybe 2020 or 2019, maybe about 2020, I decided to, after COVID, host a cotillion program because I believe that our children need development and skills that would take them far after high school. And so I still host that program today. But everything that my foundation is community engagement and helping youth and families and just making sure that I can contribute to what Rockdale County has contributed to me.
Gotcha. So, yeah, I mean, and that's, I think that's a similar idea that a lot of us who are transplants to Rockdale County, because I myself am a transplant to Rockdale County. I got here a year before you. And there are a lot of us that are those 20 and 20 plus year, transplants to Rockdale County. A lot of us came between 2003, 2010. We fell in love with this place and we stayed, right? Because it became home. I mean, once you've been somewhere for over 20 years, it's home. And that's just the way, the way it is. So, so I'm glad you decided to stay, make Rockdale your home, and have committed to making our community a better community. And that's what we need. We need commitment of citizens to make that community a better community. So, we're going to start off with asking you a question. What do you think is the biggest issue facing Rockdale County right now that you'll have to deal with when elected commissioner?
The biggest issue I think that I'll have to face is that the citizens don't trust leadership. You hear it all throughout the campaign that they don't feel as though their voices are being heard, or that um, the Board of Commissioners, and it's not just the Board of Commissioners, they don't feel like leadership listens. So, if elected, one of my top priorities would be restoring the trust of the people, like making sure that they understand, because I've been there before in the rooms and listening, but making sure that they understand that the person that they've elected is committed to doing what she said she was going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this many a time, Melissa, that there's a difference between hearing and
Mhm.
listening. Hearing is just the audible, there's noise, right? But when you listen, you take that noise and you
Mhm.
comprehend it. So I think citizens are tired of being
Right.
heard and not listened to. And I think you hear that when you're running for office and campaigning in Rockdale County, and you apparently have heard that to make that a big issue that you're going to deal with is that
Mhm.
transparency, because you're right, the voters of Rockdale County they are fed up with not they don't feel they've been politicians, and you're right. I think it even goes deeper than that. I think you hit it when you said those in
Mhm.
charge, right? So I think it goes deeper than that, and I think that's something I think a lot of people don't want to acknowledge. It goes deeper than just the elected officials that the citizens of this county don't believe.
I will
So
say,
that's but you've
right,
got that instinct, and you
right.
understand that.
And when I meet people, I'm always very honest in saying you won't always agree on everything, and those things that you don't agree on, having a real conversation on it. So it's important to me that while I'm on this trail, that I'm not over promising, and I don't want to under deliver. We want to make good on what we say that we're going to do. At least that's
Right.
my commitment to it.
So, and this question is going to come up. So, since Joy already asked it, we might as well broach it about the your opinion on the 5 commissioners versus 3 commissioners. Uh, so, and I think you and I actually, one of the things we talked about in the
Mhm.
pre-show a little bit, we touched on it. So, you want to go ahead and address that issue?
No, yes, I will. I'm in favor of the 5 commissioner board. I think that with our county growth, we're almost at 97,000 residents. I believe that we should have a 5 board commission to represent all of the citizens.
I'm even going to throw another thing on
Okay.
top of that: combined government.
Ooh, wow. Yeah.
Like Athens Clark. So what is? I mean, I'm probably one of the few people in the county who have said all along that with the geographical size of our county, that actually makes more sense than just expanding the board. Because if you would do the combined government, it would necessary to expand the board to
Right.
accommodate that. So that's what I would personally be. My first preference would be combined government. If that worked out, then it would be expansion of the board. So what do you think about combined government?
So, and just so, because part of my platform is always education. And so, for those that are watching, when you say combined government, you mean the city and the county combining
Yeah, just
resources.
like you have Bibb Macon did, and just like you had
Hmm.
Clark Athens, and you have several counties
Yeah,
and entities, and a lot of where that happens is in smaller counties that only have one municipality, and
right.
you will have that happen, and they combine because they combine services. They don't
Mhm.
have duplicate fire, duplicate water, duplicate police. Everything comes under one housing, and also it does a little thing too. You eliminate some taxes on city residents too.
So, and the good thing about Rockdale County, we have shared services with
Oh yeah,
fire and water. Um,
a lot of it's consolidated already.
right. A lot of it is consolidated. So I am going to say I have, and I know that Rockdale County, I think, is one of only 3 counties where the way our makeup is with the chair and the 3 board commissioner and so forth. Yes, research would need to be done, but I would probably say I don't, just off the top of my head, but I don't know. Still needing a little bit more research, but I don't see where the problem lies with that. I think it would be of more value than it would be of disvalue for the citizens.
I agree with you, Melissa. I think before anything would go forward, you would definitely need to do a study.
Mhm.
You'd need to present those findings to the citizens. You would need to let them know what it would cost. Uh, but at the end of the day, I got a feeling people would be surprised at what that would do for the taxpayers.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, taxpayers would probably be for it, and some politicians might be against it.
You
So
think the taxpayers would be for it?
I think the taxpayers would be for it. I think especially when the citizens of the city would see what tax savings they would get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they would be for it, because it would reduce their taxes immensely in the city. So I definitely think they would be for it, and and I think it stops all this annexing and all these boundary games that are played, and then you have more. I think especially with the sewer, because I mean I'll just give you an example. As I watch what happens with business development, as soon as we get capacity on the sewer, the city snatches something, does something, snatches that capacity up before anything in the county can actually even try to expand to it. And that happens every single time, right? So if it's all under one governmental control, then I don't think you have all that happening all the time. So that's just I think you have a more fluidly run government. It's my opinion, but you would have to have a study to show how all this would cost and everything. And then but that's it. But I think that was a good question, and then a good
Yeah.
little follow up with what about a combined government? So that is interesting, right?
Yes.
So when we look at Rockdale County and we look at economic development, what do you think needs to be done in Rockdale County that we could ensure uh, uh, better business growth?
Well, definitely our citizens want tax relief. And we know in order to obtain that tax relief, that's the number one concern. But before, we need to address the trust first and foremost. But we need businesses, that Business Digest that would help that economic development. We need the right businesses here. So repeat that question though, Larry. What was the question?
It was what do we need to do to make the conditions more favorable for economic development? And I think you said some of it.
Right. So, how do we bring businesses? Because we need big businesses to eliminate that burden on our citizens. So, how do we make Rockdale County more attractive, that businesses want to come here? First and foremost, we need a great relationship with our Economic Development Council, and we need to market what Rockdale County does have. And so, making sure that we're packaging it in a way and selling it to the business opportunities, making sure that the economic development has their studies, their videos, and so forth when they're marketing Rockdale County to potential businesses. And seeing, even possibly surveying the citizens to see more of what they want, but helping them to understand how and why businesses come to the area.
I think there's where you're spot on with that, right? So with me, it's we've got to let the citizens understand. They may say they want Trader Joe's and they want these upscale restaurants and they want this and that, but I think there needs to be a realistic understanding of what will come to Rockdale County,
Mhm.
and then we need to do a better job of letting the citizens know what the impact of the businesses that'll actually come here, what that'll mean, right? So, and I think you're right, and it's getting that trust of the citizens to get them to trust you that you're going to be honest with them about, look, we can't bring ABC, but we can bring these other businesses, right?
Or maybe
Yeah.
even have Kretzy because they're the ones that work more with them than we do. So maybe allowing them to host workshops and let the citizens know who, if, and even if they can't let them know the exact business, but let them know what type of businesses are reaching out to us to establish residence here.
So I'm gonna Danny Swan. You must have got on a little late. Melissa already answered that. She's been here for 21 years. She moved to Rockdale County in 2005, so
Mhm.
she is a 21 year resident of Rockdale County. So that's what Just wanted to make sure you were aware. If it's not 21, it's 20 and counting. It's almost 21. So I'm going to give you the 21, right? So that's what
It'll
I'm
be
going to do.
21 really soon,
Yeah.
like
So
June.
June, gotcha. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, that's always a fine line on, what do we do to assure the citizens that what we're going to try to bring is actually fundamentally uh, sound for the business, for the
Mhm.
county, and for the residents. So I mean, I think it's always tricky, right? Because everybody wants economic development, everybody wants business, but nobody wants a business next to them.
That sounds right.
And because let's just be honest with you, I've lived here for 22 years, and I've heard people out, wanting all this business in Rockdale County, but I've never seen the majority of the folks here support anything.
Mhm.
I've seen the majority of the folks here oppose everything, but the majority of the folks here say they want uh, everything, right? So,
Mhm.
that's very interesting. So I'm going to ask you this question, right? So I mean, we've got somebody that they've thrown a tax question in here, but I'm going to, with the recent legislation passed by the Georgia legislature, um, that are going to impact tax collections, um, from income tax and from sales tax. Not sales tax, but property tax, which we are going to get a reduction in property taxes over the next few years because of the legislation that was passed this year. Uh, do you see that as it's going to be a challenge for uh, government entities moving forward here in about, I think about 2 years is when it'll start hitting? Do you watch every we watch every dime now, but really closely watch the spending as I do you also see with this legislation that's passed, do you believe it's going to cause government to tighten their belts?
Absolutely. When government make a cap on the amount of money that you're going to receive, we have to be very good stewards of what we have, just in case any emergencies come up as far as overspending. So it will definitely cause us to watch what we have, especially without us getting an increase. Also, too, with that, we have to be good stewards of what we have. Um, right now, we could definitely use some type of service that monitors whether we have a duplication of contracts and services. So we definitely can tighten our belts. Even though we're talking about taxes and bringing in businesses, it's important that we be good stewards of the finances that we already have. Just as everyday citizens, if you find an extra $10 or $50 in your budget, it's going to make an impact. And we have to be the same way when we come to the county budget as well.
Mary asked a question here, and I think it's a mood issue now. I don't think that's going to happen, but let's just say that we could bring a Bucky's here. Would you want to bring a Bucky's here?
So it would depend on where, and needing all of the information regarding that. When we talk about infrastructure and being able to handle, bringing a Bucky's here will definitely bring way a lot of traffic, possibly congestion. So I haven't spoken to the transportation department, and I'm not sure what the report was to say whether we could handle the traffic around Bucky's. So for me, I'm always a leader that wants to know what does the data say in regards to that. So I'm not sure what the traffic studies say around Bucky's. I definitely enjoy getting off of exits and visiting Bucky's. and Buc-ee's will bring great tax revenue to the area. So it just depends on that. But I think that will be determined really soon by the current administration, and they have the information in regards to whether they're going to support Buc-ee's. So I'm not sure. I would need all of the data. For any decision, you want as much research as possible, because that's definitely going to be a lot of infrastructure in the area, possible congestion. And so I know I seen a link on social media for those that were against it, and I've seen a lot of people that were for it. So you have to take all of that in mind when you are an elected official.
Gotcha. So yeah, and I'm just going to tell you, folks, my feeling. I think Buc-ee's has passed us by. Just gotta just.
Well, I mean, we'll see soon, right?
I think we would have already seen.
Sometimes not. It may be things going on behind the scenes that we don't know about.
I know. I know some developers. I don't think so.
Oh. See, that's what I'm saying. You know something that I don't know. So you're asking a question, but are you for Buc-ee's?
Oh yeah, I'm for Buc-ee's, 100%. Because the traffic question that you don't know the answer to, I do know the answer to. So I'm in the highway construction business. I've been in the business for 32 years. So, and I have visited the majority of these Buc-ee's. And one thing that if you find unique about Buc-ee's is they develop that infrastructure, and they create unique ons and offs and traffic circles, and they do a really good job of creating the ins and the outs and the ramps, and they do a lot of, specifically like the one that they built down in Brunswick.
Mm-hmm.
Buc-ee's did all of that. The state did it, and Buc-ee's paid the state back.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, Buc-ee's will always they will pay for all the infrastructure to do that, right? So it's when you look at what they do, when they pick an area, they look at an area and they already have a traffic plan in place to be able to handle it. Because if they can't get the cars in and out, they don't do business.
Okay.
So if one would decide they want to come here, they've already got the traffic plan worked out. So that's something we all, you need to think of. But I personally don't believe it's something that we're going to need to worry about. But hopefully something else will come there that'll be as beneficial. That's my thought, right? And I think we do have a nice piece of land over there off of Sigmund Road, and it's a great piece of land that I think that if you're on the board, you will help develop.
It needs to be developed,
and it develops. So we're paying. So we have someone paying taxes on it instead of us just owning it and it being off the tax roll. Because because let me tell you who owns that, Melissa. Me and you own it, and everybody on the show owns it, and the other 96,000 people that live in this county. You own that property. That Sigmund Road property is yours because it was paid for with tax dollars, and that means it's our property. And I firmly believe that when we're talking about selling county property, we probably don't need to do non-disclosure agreements. When the county is going to buy property, I can see a need for an NDA. But if we're looking to sell property that we own, probably no need for an NDA. And I would like to see less of those NDAs and more transparency. But you've talked about the transparency, and that's just me griping a little bit right now. My bad.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. I don't know why we would have the NDA. I'm not a part of the authority, but you say you've been a part of that. Why would we have an NDA? Just to keep it quiet while it's under contract? Okay.
Yep. And then, what is it? Somebody asked something here. Oh, Corliss got a good question. What do you think about the homelessness in Rockdale County? And what would be your plan to help with that problem in the county?
I think that we've definitely been doing studies in the counts to address how many people are homeless in Rockdale County. I think we should be applying for grants to help with homelessness, working with nonprofit organizations in churches to, help bring resources to our homeless population.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that, you know, I think nonprofits and churches do definitely need to take the lead
Mhm.
on that, and with of course some government assistance, right? But I think the private sector would handle that much
Mhm.
better uh, than uh, than government. But they may need a little grant money and a little revenue to help do it. But I
And I
agree
think we
with you
need
wholeheartedly
nonprofits
on
that
that.
specialize in certain areas so that way we're handling homelessness at the root. Like whatever the cause is, if it's job readiness, if it's career readiness, making sure that those nonprofits can meet the homeless community where they are.
To make sure they do what needs to be done
Correct.
properly. I agree with that. So, I think when we're looking at all this, it's very interesting, right? So I think that uh, being a county commissioner is like being a jack of all
Mhm.
trades, right? You've got land use issues you've got to deal with. You've got water issues you've got to deal with. You've got, fire rescue you've got to deal with. You've got the sewer, the water. You've just got all of this that you're dealing with, and you've got to make yourself familiar with all of this. So, Melissa, how do you make yourself familiar with all of this?
You have to be involved and you have to want to be engaged, in the county. Oftentimes, well, my opponent has stated that she's never worked for county government or affiliated with anybody in county government, but that does not mean that you can't serve in your community. So it starts there with just being an active citizen within your community. So we have several volunteer boards in Rockdale County that citizens can serve on. So it comes with just being willing to serve and being knowledgeable. Um, and that's what any great leader is going to have to be willing to do is willing to, join committees. And so that's one of the things I I knew that I would probably run for office one day, but I've always served because I wanted to be an engaged citizen in my community. I'm not the type of person that just talk about it. I wanted to be about it. Someone
Clayton's
asked
got a
what's,
Clayton's
oh,
got a good question. He wanted to know what SPLOST committees you served on.
I served on Parks and Recreation. And part of the reason having young children at the time and taking them to the parks, I wanted to make sure that the parks were equitable for everyone. I would see some parks that had nice playgrounds, some that didn't, some having awnings, some that didn't. So I just wanted to make sure that our parks were a great amenity to help attract, families and children and so forth. So I served on Parks and Recreation.
So there was a question back behind here, and I want to touch on it too. So, do you have a plan to clean up our county and to keep it clean, roadside trash and grass and all that such?
So the plan for that would be to work with our state contractors and as well as the city because we have some shared spaces. So making sure, even though citizens may not care because we all live in the same community, but still understanding what are our state roads and making sure that we're always emailing and calling the state when our grass is high and so forth. And then I know, in addition to us having services, there are contractors that we use. So making sure that we're communicating and working with everyone to make sure that our roads and so forth are cleaned up. And inviting our citizens in. We have multiple organizations and nonprofits asking everyone to adopt a highway or street, getting them more civically engaged. Sometimes we don't have, activities for our youth, getting them involved in the school organizations to help, be invested in our community and help clean up.
Yeah, yeah, I agree 100%. It goes back to that involvement, right?
Mhm,
And how do we stay involved, right?
mhm.
So, how do you think that we keep the citizens engaged and involved and informed? What's the best way for government to do that?
Oh, wow. The best way to keep citizens involved. I think it's a variety of ways to keep citizens involved. When you have a variety of citizens at different ages and different demographics, you have to do multiple things to keep the citizens involved. So you have to have your town halls, you have to have your outreach meetings, your newsletters, your live streams, because people need multiple ways to connect with the county. So I don't think it's just one way that you can connect with citizens. I think it has to be multiple ways that you connect, whether that's through your website, whether that's your social media, whether that's mailers. But we have to be innovative when it comes to connecting with the citizens, whether that's through the county app, the Rock. So, hey, multiple ways to connect.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that you do hear the citizens of Rockdale complain about is they don't feel informed.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see where it is hard to inform. We don't have a local radio station. We don't have a local television station. Everything is Metro Atlanta. Um, the Rockdale Citizen doesn't do print. Twice a week now? I think. Um, I think they do online all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think it's very difficult for people who are busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
People have busy lives. So, and I think you're right. You've got to use all these different types of mechanisms to reach out to people, hoping that at least one of them
Right.
touches them at some point. Uh,
Right.
and that's why I decided to keep my podcast. Right, I ran for office. People said, well, if you win, you don't need to do a podcast. And I had a lot of people say, well, we really like your podcast. Keep doing your podcast. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? I'm just going to keep doing the podcast. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And if I talk about stuff about education, I just give my disclaimer that, I'm not speaking for the district. I'm not speaking for the board. Yes, I'm on the board, but my opinion is my opinion. It's only opinion of one board member, and it doesn't, carry any weight. So, so I decided to keep doing this, and it's my way of informing uh, the citizens of what's going on, and giving them a way to actually let their voice be heard, because that's what a lot of people like about podcasts and social media is they like the fact that their voice is heard, and a lot of times they don't feel like they're actually heard, and then you know uh, shows like this give them a word. And you have a lot of people like going to the board of commission meetings and do their 3 minutes, right? So I mean, that's their way their voices are heard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way it goes. And it's interesting when we see that from people. I like the fact that uh, you want to stay involved, to stay connected to the community, because I feel you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Because
For sure.
if you lose touch with the community, then you lose the feel of what the community wants.
Yes. And speaking of what the community want, Larry, Sabrina had a wonderful question. Do you mind if I answer that?
No, go ahead.
Okay. It said, with all of the committees that you served on, could you name 5 accomplishments that you've achieved on just one of them? So, Sabrina, thank you for that wonderful question, because my resume is not Chat GBT. I've worked with many people, in the community, and I'm proud of that work. So, one of the things that I am most proud of as the PTA district leader, even though it was faced with lots of opposition, I started Prayer with a Purpose for Rockdale County, because collaborative leadership, we needed, there were things going on in the community. So each year when it was time to return to school, we would meet on the school board steps and bring all of our members of clergy together to just cover our school system in prayer. Some people fought against it, said that, we shouldn't do it because it was religion, but we did invite all nominations to do that. When COVID came, we continued on with virtual and so forth. So that's one of the things that I'm proud of with serving as the PTA district president. Also, too, as the Showtime Pros director, the cotillion program that we have with our youth, I believe that one of the areas of opportunity in Rockdale County that we're missing out on is youth development. So with that program, I have the volunteer component there where all of the people that participate, they have to serve in their community a minimum of 10 hours. And the advocacy piece of that, we take those young people to the Capitol where they write about issues that concern them, and the legislators speak to that. And so Sabrina, I'm sorry, if you want to look that up, I've been on the news for it. I received a resolution for it. This is real work. Unlike some of my opponents, Larry, I've been out here working and serving with real people with real results.
Good. So you were able to, put out there what you've done on those committees. And I mean, and that's, that's the thing, right? If you're out here in the trenches, people know you've been in the trenches, right? I mean, I've been in the trenches for a long time here in Rockdale County. People can't say that I've not been out here doing the fight, right? So if you've been in the fight, people know if you've been in the fight or not, and it's not a bad thing, not a bad thing to be recognized for being in the fight. So I think we've been on here about 45 minutes now, and that's pretty good time for this kind of chat. So what I want to do now, I'll give you an opportunity to close out, tell people. It's time now. Voting is happening, right? So tell them why they need to get out there, why they need to vote for you, and what you believe. What you're about.
Thank you so much. So today is early voting. Our local elections matter, even more so than the national elections. It's important that people help influence the decisions that are made within their local community. And so I'm asking for your support. You can still learn more about me on my website, www.electmelissamims.com. You can follow me on all my social media platforms, MIMS, the number 4, Rockdale. That's MIMS for Rockdale. But what sets me apart from my other opponents? Number 1, the incumbent has been in office for 12 years. 12 years and 3 terms. We still have the same issues and the same concerns. People still want tax relief. People still believe that we're not listening. So I do not believe that she's going to make any difference if given another opportunity. So it's time for new leadership. It's time for principled leadership. It's time for leadership that is not angry. And so the other opponent, she brags on not working in Rockdale County and not being involved. And only thing that shows to me is a lack of an experience and that she's just not into Rockdale County. We haven't seen any real results. And so if we want someone that has been here, that has been doing the work, that has real results, and that's willing to work with you, because I am a collaborative leadership. Most of the people in the community, one of the things that they can say about me, we might not always agree, but I'm always respectful and that I've always been fair in the community. So that's some of the differences between me and the other opponents. So I am asking you to continue to go out and vote MIMS for Rockdale. And thank you so much for this opportunity, Larry.
I appreciate you coming on the show, Melissa. And I think that we need change in Rockdale County. And just for people who might want to know, I went and voted today, right? So, and I don't care. People know I'll tell anybody who I voted for. So today, when I cast my ballot for Post 2 Commissioner, I cast my ballot for Melissa Mims. So if any of you care what I do or how I vote, and you think anything of it, just want to let you know that I did cast my vote for Melissa Mims today, and she has my full endorsement. And I hope that the rest of you will follow suit and go out and vote for Melissa Mims, because I think we need true change in Rockdale County, and that means change in leadership. So thank you, Melissa, and I appreciate it. And I want to let the folks know that we've got a full schedule coming up on this show. So we are going to next week, and it's all on the bottom here, but I'm going to roll my calendar up over here. I have got, excuse me, on Sunday the 3rd, we'll have Superior Court Judge Nancy Beals coming on the show. And then we will also have the following day, we will have 13th Congressional candidate Heavenly Kimes coming on the show. So, so I am very pleased with that, and it's going to be good. And the show is booked for the next 3 weeks, right? Booked on Sunday and Monday. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, for watching the show, and like I said, get out and vote and vote MEMS. Thanks, guys, and I appreciate everything that you guys have done for me, and I appreciate you guys being diligent to this show and your support to the show. So I will see you next Sunday on Speak Your Mind, as we have Judge Nancy Beals running for re-election.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.